Welcome back to the channel. I've got the brand new GX version. I was today years old when I found out that I could plug in my studio mic directly into my DJI. So a game changer in terms of the audio. I won't have a difference in quality when it comes to the split screen view that we'll be getting into shortly. But you will be getting those noises directly into the mic. But look, I'm no professional. It's a work in progress. Now, this brand new version, this is what you came here to see. I'm sure by now you've already seen the real versus fake for this pair. If you haven't, click on that before you watch this. I'll put it up above, top left, top right, wherever it goes, I don't know. Now, straight away, we're going to compare the boxes. They're all in shot up here. Bear with me, it's a bit of an awkward angle today. I've shuffled things around, I'm sorting it all out. Okay, so now what we have here is the initial offering from Putien. We've got the GX version, and then we've got the retail. So I'll be very brief in comparing the three different ones, and then today's video will focus on this new version against the retail. First of all, the boxes. I don't see much difference between these two boxes. Maybe some quality in the print work. It's a little bit more indented. Okay, I can see it actually. I can see it now I look closely. Slightly better fidelity. I'm going to be very quick with this part of the comparison. Okay. There we go. And the retail box, get that lid off. If you didn't watch my last video and you're skipping over and you're just watching this straight away, the reason this one isn't as presented as nicely, or this one, because I've already unwrapped it, this is an authentic pair I bought at resale from Poison. Yes, it is legit. If you haven't bought from Poison before, I massively recommend them. Right, getting straight into it. Individually wrapped in the plastic bags with the sticker on. We're not too fussed about the packaging. We're here to look at the shoes. Okay, straight away I can see some beautiful material. Why am I chucking that down there? I'm trying to keep everything together. Okay, beautiful material on that shoe. Let me just get them all in shot. And this one, a bit awkward around the mic. Okay, there's your first look at all three shoes together. Okay, straight away I can tell you, and I will get the right shoe out here. We're going to compare the same shoe rather than make a pair. That would be an interesting way to do it, is to make a pair of the real and the fake. But what I'm going to do here is go into split screen in a second. First of all, the first thing I want to highlight is this first version. If we look there, see there's no texture on this GX version. It does. It's got the texture, sort of brick-like texture that is supposed to be there, and the proportions are much better. I can see straight away the material is good, but the pattern, see the spacing between things is just better. This was very shiny and squeaky. This is not. Slightly squeaky, but it's closer to the retail. Okay, I did promise we're about to go into split screen, but I think at this point I should give a quick overview of the differences. Very briefly, looking at these on their side in order. First version, GX batch, retail. Straight away we can see differences between them in terms of the shape. Make sure I'm lined up here on the top screen. But what I'm looking at is the colors. See how it's a little bit vibrant here, a little bit shiny, and a lighter red on this section of the midsole panel. And this is much closer. Again, it's not exactly the same shade. It is not the same shade of red. These minor discrepancies, man, I think, look, for those of you watching this video because you refuse to pay the resale. I think it comes down to this. If you want perfection, if you want the exact same shade as the original images showed you, get the original. Otherwise, doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But anyway, okay, enough of that. We're not going to be dealing with this first version. Today we're all about these two here. So a quick side by side before we get into that split screen. Material is very nice indeed on this GX version. It just needs to be brushed. That would bring it out to life. If you took a suede brush to that, some mink oil perhaps, that might change the color of the shoe, but really we're dealing with very similar, if not the same material. This has just been treated better, definitely been given a brush down. You can see the liveliness of the suede on the retail, but this new GX is not so bad, you know, not so bad. Okay, split screen, we'll go into the fine details as always. Okie dokie. As mentioned, material does seem very similar, but a bit more lively in terms of the suede movement on the retail. As for the general pattern, the cut, these things are looking near identical. Very slight differences, especially when we look at the netting up there, the cage area. We'll have a look at that close up. As always, we're going to zoom in on every single panel, every section of this shoe and go over it in detail. Now, looking at the toe box area and this toe strap, the mud guard, it's got a very similar texture. Now, the GX version is very close to the retail. It's got the same bumpiness, the same grain to it. Very slight difference in color. We will do a side by side without a split screen later so you can see that. But, you know, same lighting going on here in both of these shots. Haven't changed anything. Swoosh looking very similar as well. Slightly different shape, but so minimal, the difference there. Okay, the netting area. Here, I always look at this little section of the window when I'm looking at the lateral side to see the sort of angle of the cut. The netting returns to shape. The cage is exactly the same. Slightly looser and a slightly darker red on the GX batch up above, but so damn similar. Same suede movement on every panel, looking good. I've mentioned this already, but a bit of mink oil, a bit of a brush, suede brush will bring that up and it'll look exactly the same. Okay, GX is now on the left. There's that movement you can see. So lively. They both got the little nub there towards the middle of the toe area. Now, someone mentioned on the previous video, why haven't you shown the 3M, the reflective 3M panels? Well, it's very hard to pick up on camera. You just have to take my word for it that they are both exactly the same in terms of the 3M. I can see hits of it at certain angles to the naked eye, but on camera it doesn't really show up. Looking at the tongue and looking at the embroidery, again, that lovely movement of suede. I'm looking at how much the tongue sticks out of the shoe on the GX version. Slightly higher, ever so slightly higher, but maybe I could pull the retail up a bit more, I don't know. It's so minimal though. And look at the quality of the sheen as we turn the patch in the light. Get the same differences as it hits the light. Looks exactly the same to me. Stitching slightly closer to the edge on the retail. Looking at the inside tag, the embroidery is good on both. Slightly darker color on the GX. And the text seems to fill the shape a little bit more. So overall, slightly bolder, larger text on the GX on a darker patch, darker red. Sock liner is looking slightly different there on the back of the tongue, but very minimal. Flappy is the same. Seems to be the same material. They've got that down. It's the same softness. It's not quite the same as the SB, but pretty similar. Looking at the way it's been cut there, it's sitting slightly higher on the retail. Slightly higher, but you'll see differences between two retails. And the retail seems to have a bit of a sloppy paint job on the midsole section. You can see where it's run over a little bit. On the GX, it's looking very clean. GX is now at the top of your screen because I've gone into landscape mode. Paper, I mean, maybe that's overdoing it really. Paper is paper. Not that much different, slightly different color. Looking at the insoles. Okay, let's have a look at these. Print wise, fidelity wise, seems to be the same. GX up above, retail down below here. For the dream cell material, this was pointed out on another video. I saw that there should be 16 points of insertion. There's these tiny little holes, which was news to me. That was on Retrospective Dave's video. Shout out to you, Dave. GX dream cell is a bit floppy. Doesn't seem to be the same consistency, same quality as we're seeing on the retail insole. They look similar, slightly darker on the GX though. Inside tag, now I'll post photos because this is always hard to film, so pause this, zoom in. I didn't manage to get the whole thing. I'll put some photos up, put them on my Instagram, which you can see above, at snide.kicks or at snidelab. I've got 2 pages, snidelab, for my custom work. Okay, looking at the Strobel stitch, it seems to be tighter and cleaner on the retail, and there's no text showing through. On the GX it said right in Chinese. Okay, blacklight test. Nothing is showing up. There are no guidelines visible on this GX. That is pretty common for a top tier shoe. It's just about the nature of production. When you're dealing with retails or top tiers, you tend not to see any guidelines. They don't use them when they're producing. They don't use those pens, those markers. Whereas when you're looking at a more of a budget shoe, you will see guidelines all over the thing. It'll be lit up like a Christmas tree. Immediately there, I'm seeing that the threading going around the edge of that shoe, look at that. See how the thread reflects on the retail? On the GX, nothing. So there's something. It's not guidelines, but the thread does reflect. It bounces off. Yep, it gives off that blue glow with the Blacklight, but it doesn't on the GX. So there you go. You want your thread to glow when under a Blacklight. Everything else pretty much the same. You can't see it, but the 3M is very good under this. Although it's kind of brighter on the retail. You see how it looks orange behind the cage, behind the netting. Whereas on the GX it just shows black, but without the Blacklight under the normal lights, the 3M is very similar. Okay, we're out of split screen mode, and main takeaways. These things are very, very close. Just now I did the Blacklight test and you'll have seen that there were no guidelines on this thing. I should have probably, did say I wasn't going to focus on this previous version, but just to show you, just to highlight, if you'll excuse the pun, my lights are on now, but you can see that it's just picking it up, that whenever you're dealing with the first offering, sort of generic budget batch, if you will, I wouldn't really call this budget. It was just a first attempt. It wasn't really a super cheap, terrible version. These things are covered in guidelines, such as the nature of production guidelines all over the thing. Whereas this, when you're dealing with a top tier rep, very, very difficult to use a Blacklight test on these. There's no guidelines on this. The only thing that I noticed there was the fact that whichever thread they have used on the retail, it glows under a Blacklight. Reflects the light even rather than glows. So yeah, takeaways, these things are so close. Some very slight discrepancies between the color, but it's so minute. You're gonna have to be very careful out there. Having a look at the mudguard from above, now we're out of split screen, you can see there is a slight difference in the shape. This is the same pair of shoes. It's a US 11. You can see that the mudguard sits slightly different on the retail, but man, there is not much giving this thing away. There really is not. Did anything jump out to you? Did you see anything that I haven't highlighted in today's video? Do let me know in the comments below. Pattern, cut, pretty much the same. The air bubble is slightly thinner. There's another difference. You can see the rep on the left. It's a slightly narrower bubble, but again, very, very small difference. Outsole wise, these things are the same. That's why I didn't really focus on it in the video, not worth mentioning. Back heel tab is cut slightly, the material is cut slightly higher on the retail, on the right, but you will see discrepancies between two retail pairs like that. In fact, if I pulled out the other shoe, you'd probably see that it's cut slightly different. I've got it back there on the shelf, so I'm not going to mess with that now. But they got this down. Look at that. They absolutely nailed it. Man, crazy. Absolutely crazy. So close. There is really nothing between these things. For all intents and purposes, that's the same damn shoe. Nuts. Don't get scammed out there. Be very careful. I gave you a few tells, but there's very, very few. Very few indeed. Good luck to you out there if you are buying them at this point. I think if you want to avoid getting ripped off in the future, you're just going to have to get them straight away, because it's only a matter of weeks before a top version comes out. In this case, we saw the initial batch came out just a couple days later, and then it took a week, I think 10 days nearly, for this premium version to come out. And there are competing versions. This is just one of them. There'll be more. If they aren't out already, they will be very, very soon. Nuts. Absolutely nuts.